I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. My heart cries out to you, my God. All that upsets me, you see. All that disturbs me, you understand. Only here in your presence am I fully known. I am wrapped in grace. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. I try to relax, but anger rattles me. I try to relax, but my failings niggle at me. Be still, be silent. Put your trust in the Lord. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. In the stillness, the light of your face shines. My heart turns to thankfulness and is glad. I have more than enough. You, Lord, are more than enough. I lie down to sleep, safe and sound. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. Be still and rest. You are held in peace.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bedford United this week. I'm so happy to have you here and to have you online. My name is Matt Murphy. I'm the host for this week to sort of lead through our service, and we'll get started with some singing.
Are you coming now? Okay. Sorry. Sometimes I get told things when I get here and I didn't know before, so anyway. Let's rise if you're able. Stand if you can. We're going to sing Who Is My Mother? 178 for more voices. You can take this opportunity to greet your neighbors. You've already been nice and loud this morning, so I assume you have been. But you have another opportunity now. Who is my mother? Who is my brother? All those who gathered round Jesus Christ. Spirit-blown people, born from the gospel, sit at the table round Jesus Christ. Differently able, differently labeled, widen the circle round Jesus Christ. Crutches and stigmas, cultures, enigmas, all come together round Jesus Christ. Love will relate us, color or status, can segregate us round Jesus Christ. Family failings, human derailings, all are accepted round Jesus Christ. Bound by one vision, meant for one You're all looking like there should be more. Let's do the first verse again. Who is my mother? Who is my brother? All those who gathered round Jesus Christ. Spirit-blown people, born from the gospel, sit at the table round Jesus Christ. Matt wants everyone to do jazz hands. You can be seated.
Thank you very much. So we'll get things started in more of a ceremonial way here as we light the candles. Hi, Lucy. And we say, God is here.
All the time.
All the time.
God is here.
All are welcome.
All the time.
All the time.
All are welcome.
Amen. And I'll invite Paige and Chelsea and Claire to come forward. Claire's here too. And any children who would like to follow out to Sunday school.
We haven't had a chance to meet yet. I'm Paige, just returning from mat leave. And Matt and I promised that we're going to save all of our goodbyes until October 1st. So I'm not going to do our goodbyes yet, but I do have a few thank yous that I wanted to offer before we head off to Sunday school. Some of you may know we just finished our rainbow camp here this past week, and we had 23 campers join us to be reminded that God's love is for everyone, and we learned about the rainbow colors and celebrated that love that is for everyone. And we had many people from BUC that helped out, so I want to say a thank you to those who volunteered their time and shared their talents with us this week. So a big thank you to Jocelyn, who prepared snacks and cleaned up snacks. We couldn't have done it without you. You kept us fed. And a big thank you for Tony for offering music, for Brian King for sharing his famous Robert Munch stories, for Matt for leading in communion and worship with us, for Natalie Moyce for sharing worship and godly play, and especially here to Claire, Chelsea, and Jordan for working so hard this summer to bring camp to life. We also had Kim and Nathan volunteer their time this week, so we had so many people from BUC bring our camp to life, so I'm so grateful for everyone's help. So a big thank you to everyone, and especially thank you to some of our campers, and some of our campers are here today who brought their whole selves and shared their kindness and energy and compassion with us this week. We're so grateful for all of that. So I'm going to invite Chelsea and Claire to light our candle this morning.
There was once someone who did such incredible things and said such amazing things that people started to follow him. And one day they asked, "Who are you?" And he responded with, "I am the light."
So we're going to take that light and use that light to travel to our time of worship and Sunday school. So you can follow Chelsea out to our time of worship and Sunday school.
Laces are on them. Give it to somebody.
Don't throw.
Give the workers health safety claims in church.
That's what light is following the children. Yeah.
Thank you, Claire, Chelsea, and Paige, and thank you, children. We have fun in Sunday school. And before we have our sacred story today, we'll have a land acknowledgement, but a land acknowledgement doesn't always have to be literally an acknowledgement of the place. It's more about connecting with place. And Reverend Matt found this lovely and timely poem from Mi'kmaq artist Shalon Jodrey. So I'll share that with you today as a way of connecting us with a land. It's called Tending the Fire. There are lonelier places than under a darkened sky, just before the winter moon, as her shining edges cast doubt, waiting for the return of longer light. Let us not forget one another in the waiting. I will hold flame for your health, and you can hold flame for me. Then let us place both in a hearth made of grandmother and grandfather rocks, of the land we're on, without calling them yours or mine. Around this fire, I want you to hear the stories of our ancestors and grandparents, so you understand the shapes of what was. and weep suddenly with me. The grief not only ours to bear, in naming the shadows we can watch them break apart, like morning frost, and wet our lips with the nourishing dew of dawn's heart. Let us belong to the land instead, know the magnetism of trees, watch the sun find its farthest peak, and come back again. Between my mind and my heart, between horror and hope, reconcile the difference between us. Well, Alan.
Well, friends, the sacred story today comes from Matthew 13. We've been hanging out with Matthew's gospel because why not? It's a great gospel. I'm just saying. It's a good gospel. As we do this, I wonder, think about if Jesus could use an image for the kingdom of God. If he could use an image for the church, what would it be? And if it was a plant, would it be like the biggest, coolest, most beautiful, blossomy flower you could possibly put on Instagram with like hearts overflowing and everybody being like, I want that in my garden. Why can't I grow that? Or would he compare it to something else? Gee, I wonder. Friends, listen to the sacred story. Jesus presented another parable to the crowds. The kingdom of heaven is like the mustard seed which a farmer sowed in a field. It's the smallest of all seeds, but when it is grown, it is the biggest shrub of all. It becomes a tree so that the birds of the air come to perch in its branches. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowds in parables, and he spoke to them in parables only to fulfill what had been said through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce things hidden since the creation of the world. Friends, hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God. All right. Last sermon. Oh, man. My brother was like, are you going to do an epic swan song? Is it going to be like an hour long? Are you going to hold people hostage and like wait till they walk out or throw things at you? Or say, I don't know. It'll be fine, Bob. It'll be fine if you're watching. It'll be okay. We got this. All right, friends. Let me grab this here. All right, so I do want to time it, though, so I'm aware of what we're doing. That's not a bad thing. You all know that that's my practice. Yeah, I am aware of how much oxygen I'm taking up. Okay, do you ever feel like life or the world is a little strange right now? Anybody relate with that? Like things feel a little strange, right? So in a lot of conversations I've been having with folks over the last week, we're just chit-chatting back and forth. I just earmarked how many times people were using the word strange. And, it came up in all kinds of things. Like people would say, Matt, like half the country's on fire and the other half is underwater. The weather's really strange, right? Or the cost of living, of food, gas, the housing crisis. Like I've never seen so many homeless people visible to us in Halifax as we have today. It's just really strange. What was strange for me as a parent was, this is 2023, I'm new to all this, or I'm learning as I go, but I flip open my Facebook feed and here's the RCMP going, if you're going to post a picture of your child's first day at school, here are the things not to put in that picture because cyber criminals are profiling everything your kids do, and they will use that information to, either extort them or extort you, or they will follow them because everyone has a digital footprint now for the rest of your life. That is strange to me. I did not have to worry about such things when I was in school. We still had mail. It was cool. Life and the world can feel strange. And the thing is, for us today, the good news is don't be afraid. Because that's where our faith is found. That's where our faith actually, as followers of Jesus, took root. And for Jewish people in general, is in the midst of a very strange time. We got this. But first, we got to understand a couple things. One, when things are strange, that often strays into fear for us. And we often fear what we don't know and what we don't understand, right? Nothing wrong with fear. It's just an emotion. It's not bad or good. But when we let fear control everything we do, we get into trouble. But really where that came from in our human mind is evolutionary, right? I mean, we're out in the wilderness and we're trying to survive. Your fear is your best friend. And the human mind goes, if I'm facing a threat, what I got to do is I've got to be bigger than the threat that I'm facing, right? So this was really great when we were being chased by wolves and coyotes, right? As you go, you make yourself really big for the wolf and the coyote, they get really scared and they run away. And you live another day, hopefully, or another afternoon. This is a good thing. But this gets really challenging when we live in a civilized industrial world like we do in 2023. So when the wolf is at your door, you get bigger, apparently. If anybody saw the movie Oppenheimer, as we've been talking about in church, yeah, how'd that work out with nuclear weapons? We will build the biggest bomb. It'll be the biggest explosion the world has ever seen. And everyone will be so terrified to cause war. No one will have war anymore. Yep, that worked out really well, right? So that threat mentality and how our minds respond to it, that's in our culture, it's in our politics, it's in our religion, it's in the conversations we have about each other and with each other every day. Flip on the news, you're going to watch that threat mentality at work all the time. So when we encounter this strangeness of life and we feel like it's overwhelming and that response is to want to get bigger, it's funny when you watch Jesus, when he encounters the strangeness, he doesn't go big. Jesus goes small, really small. Like not small-minded, which is being rigid and inflexible, right? Organisms that do that in Mother Nature go extinct, which churches might want to pay attention to, just saying, because there's a little bit of a trend right now, let alone for the planet, right? This is not news. But Jesus would go really small. So he would start talking about bits of bread and cups of wine and bits of fish, a coin, a pearl, not just seeds, which he does talk about, but Jesus has to go that extra, right? Jesus is very extra, right? So not just seeds, but the smallest of all seeds, right? He says today, right? Even when you go to Jesus, I mean, it's ironic that we make the cross so big, because really the cross is really small, actually. Jesus' last act on the cross is an exchange of oxygen and CO2. It's just a breath and it's done, right? Like it's very small. And in response to that last breath, a Roman soldier of all people looks at Jesus and goes, truly this one was God's son, right? So the thing about when we talk about getting smaller is to think about, well, go figure, Bedford United, think about physics. The smaller you get, you realize that everything around us is made of energy. We're all made of atoms, right? So an atom's pretty small. But then you start asking, but what are the things that make up every single atom that makes everything? And then what are the things that make up the atoms that make up everything? And you keep going down the chain and you get smaller and smaller and smaller and you realize how massive the universe is, right? And that when we do that, when we get smaller like Jesus is talking about, our heart, our mind, and our spirit, they get deeper and wider instead of just trying to be dominant. They get deeper and wider. We have an expansion of our hearts, minds, and spirits. And that is the big bang we need, not an atom bomb. The world feels overwhelming sometimes, and when it's all too big to handle, when the mountains are so high, remember, Jesus calls us to get small, get really small. It's not about seeing the forest from the trees. It's about seeing that there is a forest in every single tree, right? So a movie that really brought me to this, made a big impact on us as a family in the last couple of weeks, is a film called Strange World. And anybody see it? Has anybody seen Strange World? Yeah, there's a couple. Oh, good. Oh, there's two. Yes. So now all of you have your homework. You will go see Strange World today. It'll be great. I'm not going to intro the film too much. I'm just going to show you a preview so you get a taste of what it's about. So we've got some common things here. So let's show that if we can, everybody.
I've never seen anything like it! Baby Clade! What is the president doing in our front yard?
Our entire world is in grave danger. I want you to come with me on an expedition.
I'm not my father. He was the explorer.
I know you were just a kid when you went missing, but now, you're all we got.
Mr. Clade, I'm a huge fan thank you. Of your dad. Do you think you could forge his autograph?
What?
Where in the world are we? Ethan, you brought the dog?
Sorry! We are clearly in uncharted territory.
Hello. You probably don't understand a word I'm saying.
Of course I understand you.
Huh?
Dad? Dad? Grandpa? I'm a grandpa.
What is this place?
The cliffs are alive, and the waters dissolve the flesh off your bones.
Everything down here is trying to kill us.
Do you mind if I call you Splat? You just kind of give me Splat vibes. Ow! I guess I deserve that. Grandpa's awesome!
He is not awesome. You gave me a machete for my birthday?
Classic Jaeger Clade.
I was 2.
I'm loving this family reunion, but come on, we got a world to save.
We need you to figure this out, otherwise we're doomed. We are doomed!
Wait, seriously?
No, I'm just messing with you.
Didn't see that coming.
Right? Those 2 minutes don't count on the sermon time. So if fans of molecular biology, you probably got some hints about what this movie is really all about as you were watching that. There are 3 things in the movie that really lifted out for the gospel for me when I watched it. I went, oh my God, the church needs to see this movie and the world needs to see this movie and pay attention to what they're doing here. So the first thing is, listen to the Spirit. Lots of us hear the doorbell ring, but how many of us listen and actually get up and open the door? Right? When the bell rings, you answer it. You don't just go, oh yeah, there's a bell ringing over there. I'm going to go back to Netflix. Right? Like, no. There's a difference between hearing and listening. So the Spirit has been ringing alarm bells for some time in our lives, in our church, in our world, but are we actually getting up and opening the door and listening to the Spirit? Or are we just hearing the fact that, yeah, there's an alarm, yeah, right? So what's happening in the movie is the land that the characters live in is called Avalonia. And everything is great in Avalonia. Life is very good. There's these bunch of mountains that they can't get past, so they figure this is our world. It's just what we know, and it's lovely and good. One of the family members makes a discovery and finds a green plant that they name Pando, and this plant can give you exponential energy. Wouldn't we love to have that in our lives, right? So as farmers, they keep growing this plant, and everybody has the energy they need to live their lives, and go figure, like wars stop, and there's lots of food and homes for everybody, and all is well, right? Life is really great. Until the day that Pando starts to die. So the crops start going bad, right? And so at that moment when the bell rings, there's a decision to make. Like, are we going to go just like, oh yeah, but everything's really good, just keep growing the Pando, it'll be fine. Or will the characters go, there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with what we're growing. We need to act. We need to get curious. We need to experiment. We need to go on an adventure. And what they do is they feel called to go out and find the heart of their world and figure out what's going on with their world. Why is this beautiful green plant that's doing so many good things for us dying? So they want to go save Pando, save Avalonia, and they do that. Long story short, they end up becoming very small. And they end up discovering that underneath their world, there is this huge universe that has been there the whole time that none of them knew about. One of my favorite quotes is when they look around and go, did you know all this was down here? Right? It's just this moment of wonder of like, what just happened to our world, realizing this existed. If you did watch Oppenheimer, when people discover the atom, that's basically what happens to humanity, is to go, what do you mean this all exists and was here the whole time? And what does that mean for all of us? It's a beautiful calling card there, that experience. So they go on this adventure, and that means you're going to go places that you've never been. It's going to lead to insecurity. There's going to be uncertainty, and it's going to be full of possibility and new life. And the thing that Jesus teaches over and over again about the kingdom of God is that it doesn't make security guarantees. It doesn't make certainty guarantees. That's not what God's not into that business. God is into offering peace, justice, love, and healing and new life. And if you want those things, they require sacrifice. That's just how it is. And if you don't like the word sacrifice because it doesn't taste good in your mouth, you translate it into my language would be, it requires committed action based on our values as human beings. You have to act in order to manifest those things in the world. So people in Jesus' time, they thought mustard plants were just garbage. They're just weeds. And they're giant, annoying pests. They get in the way of your crops. You got to dig them up, throw them out. And Jesus, basically would riff on exactly what one of the characters in the movie says, is he says, what's a weed but a plant growing in an inconvenient place, right? And I wonder, Jesus would say the kingdom of God is a plant growing in an inconvenient place. Is the church and what we're about growing in an inconvenient place, or has it all become very, very convenient? Right? That's a beautiful challenge to us. So Jesus says, look, we got to get small. We got to see how huge this shrub becomes. Look at its impact and its possibility. Don't just see it as a weed. You're looking at it as a weed because you just want to be bigger and get rid of this thing. It always leads to violence and aggression. Get small and look at what this beautiful creation, this beautiful plant is doing. Stop trying to be the center of the universe and see that you're part of everything. So the first one is listen to the call of the Spirit. The second one is to create a community of creation. So on this adventure of going small that we just saw there, it's really fascinating. What we see happen as all these characters get together, they start out as one group of people, and they grow, and they grow, and they grow as they go along. So as we saw, someone finds their dad, a grandson finds out he has a grandfather, but they're all in states of conflict in the movie. By the time they're done the adventure, they have finished reconciling, healing together, and become something new together, a new kind of family. It's beautiful to watch that there's this idea that our community is not about saying, this is the limit here today of what we're going to be. That's not gospel. It's definitely not biblical. It's God says, I'm calling people you haven't seen yet from the four corners of the earth. So it's about creating a community that constantly expands in its relationships. And one of the most beautiful reversals you see is when you saw the preview, you saw Splat, the little blue monster, right? So in the movie, the way they make you think is, spoiler alert, la la la, if you don't want to do that, is Splat is presented as this kind of, like you think he's kind of cute, but he could be kind of bad. He could be a little bit of a monster. No one's really sure what's going on with him. And then you saw those big gray monsters with the tentacles. And so there's this idea that Splat is like the monster who goes out and finds the food, and his job is to bring the food back to his family who are going to eat you, right? So you think that Splat is bad and they're monsters. The reversal in the film is when the characters discover that why Pando is dying is because these monsters are attacking Pando. Why are the monsters attacking this green plant that gives light to everything? You saw the pictures of all the veins of the green? Because it turns out that Pando is cancer, and the cancer is killing the heart of the planet that they live on. And so what we saw when they got small and went down is actually the immune system of the planet fighting off the infection and trying to survive, right? So when you see all these pictures, if you're into biology, things look like cells because they are. And so, that's the gray monsters are not monsters. They're actually like the immune cells fighting off the cancer. And Splat really hopes that the adventurers will kind of figure it out and kind of get on board because things are getting really bad really fast. So they add Splat into the family and the rest of his family, so there's no more monsters anymore. And I love this quote that the son in the movie is just an amazing character. And he says, the objective isn't to kill or destroy monsters. You're just supposed to build a working civilization utilizing the environment around you. That is the golden rule of Jesus in one sentence. That's all we got to do. That's really it. You don't need 4 gospels. You just need that sentence and you'll be fine. And what's also cool is that there are people, of course, in their world who go, but Pando's been so awesome. It's done so much good for us. You can't get rid of it. You can't change from this. And they get really upset and really angry that they're trying to get rid of it. By the end of the movie, they also transform their relationships with everyone. It's fascinating. Stop trying to get bigger than the challenges. It's okay to get small, real small. And one of the things the church, we got to always remember as you go forward, I beg you, Bedford United, is constantly create a community of creation. Anytime somebody starts saying, well, we use the mini parlor to a lot in our church. I don't want to rent that out. I don't want anybody else using that. Where are we going to be? Need the mini parlor? The only thing we use the mini parlor for is counting offering and hosting choir gowns. We got rid of the choir gowns, and nobody gives real money anymore in church, so we don't actually use the room, right? So it's about, well, what could that room have the potential to do? Lorna was in there the other day, my partner, and lots of you know Lorna's a clinical therapist, and she looked around and went, it's got a kitchenette, it's got windows, it's a big, beautiful room, you've got a private bathroom, there's your own entrance, you're on a bus route. Why aren't you renting this out to clinical therapists who are doing mental health work in the community who are maybe charging on a sliding scale, which matches our values so that more of our neighbors get the health and the help they need? It's right there. It's just sitting there. It's been sitting there for like 5 years, waiting to be used. It's just empty, just storing junk, right? Always be thinking about how we build more relationships. So last one, wrapping up, serve, love, justice, always, always. When Jesus was faced with the golden rule, as we said, when he taught that, Jesus said, if I'm forced to choose between my religion and what I'm comfortable with and my neighbor and what might be new and scary to me, I am always going to choose to love my neighbor because that's where God is. That's where the Spirit is calling. Always choose this. So in Strange World, there's those set of mountains I was talking to you about that no one's ever crossed, right? And so by the end of the film, they get over the mountains. And when the family gets out past the mountains, there's like nothing but blue as far as the eye can see. They're just like, wow, there's all this ocean. And then they hear a noise, and they turn around, and they realize the mountains were teeth. And they have actually left an enormous turtle. And if you know your indigenous story, this is Turtle Island on this water of blue, and the turtle is their home, of which they are a living organism, and they depend on being part of this living organism in order to survive. It's a stunning moment in the film of recognizing they're not the center of everything. They're a part of everything. What a beautiful way to look at life. And Jesus asks us to look at the mustard bush in the same way of saying to people, look, you're in the desert, it's hot, it's dry. Here's this seed that can find water. It provides shade for us, for animals, for insects. Birds come make their homes there. It becomes this anchor point in this total wilderness of new life being able to happen. Why can you not see that and instead say, let's chop it down, throw it in the garbage and burn it because it's a weed, right? He's asking us to think about looking at our lives and our world in the same way as a community of faith. And the quick example I will use of that, if you wonder how can we apply it, gee, folks, I don't know. If you got a neighborhood full of affordable housing and you get a developer that comes in and says, hey, I'm going to knock all that down, build a giant condo, jack the rates, kick everybody out so that they've got nowhere to live, that's pretty much cutting down the mustard bush, right? That's the exact opposite of what's going to help us solve the housing crisis for Nova Scotians. We got to look at each other and at the world we live in very differently. Favorite quote of mine is A.A. Miles, weeds are flowers too, once you get to know them, right? And a friend of mine here at BUC posted this, and I want to end with this quote today for all of us. Church is not an organization that you join. It's a family where you belong, a home where you are loved, and a hospital where you find healing. Friends, thank you for allowing my family to be part of yours for the last 5 years. I hope that you will remember those 3 pieces as you go forward in your journey. Listen to the Spirit's call, right? Create a community of creation, and love and serve justice always. Friends, the Spirit in me honors the Spirit in you, and all the people said, Amen. Very kind. Yeah. Sit down.
Thank you, Matt. That was wonderful. What a lovely message to send us out with. I will invite the ushers to come forward to collect our offering for today. And I will remind folks that maybe are new that we have what's called pre-authorized remittance, or PAR. So if you can't be in the sanctuary every week, but you want to be able to contribute, you can sign up for a pre-authorized payments. Or if you're watching from home today, you'll see up on the screen that we do have ways that you can donate through e-transfers as well. Let's join together in a prayer of gratitude. Creator, we are so blessed to have these gifts that we may share with your church, with our community, and with your world. We thank you for these blessings. Amen. So for our prayers of community today, I'd like to do something that I don't know that we've done in a while. It's what's sometimes known as a body prayer. So it's somewhat of a meditation, but also kind of a prayerful meditation. So I'll invite you to get comfortable in your seat or at home, and there will be some imagining that happens through this. So if you want to close your eyes, or if you want to look to the ceiling or look inside, do what feels right for you. Let's begin by looking at the space between your feet. But imagine you're not there. I mean, you always were and you always are, because your spirit is eternal. But let's look at that space. Imagine a tiny speck, as small as a mustard seed. That was the size of the spark of creation. Let there be light. Let there be life. Life that springs from the ground. Imagine that the life energy moving outward and taking form. Your feet are your roots. They connect you to the land, to the Creator. This land that gives us so much, that teaches us, nourishes, and comforts. Reconnect with your roots and send your gratitude into the world. Gratitude is another form of love. That initial energy that created all things, with more love, it can grow. Imagine light moving up your legs. The love light shines and seeks out your pain. Direct it to where you need it. A sore back, a broken heart. Let the light grow. Ask the light for strength. Ask it for healing. You are not alone. The light is within you, and it is you, and it is all of us. If you can't think of where to direct the healing light within you, then send it out. Turn your palms up. Offer the love light to one you love. or to the unnamed millions in need, or to creation herself. The more you share, the more it grows. Let's everyone now imagine the energy flowing through our hearts and into your arms, to the very tips of your fingers. Stretch out your arms. Reach out to your neighbors. The mustard plant grows from God's love, and so too does our community. Reach out and hold hands, or touch a shoulder or an elbow if you're comfortable, or simply raise your palm and transfer your energy to one another like synapses in the brain. This network, this cluster, this community is your home. All are welcome, all are needed. We each bring unique gifts given to us by the Creator, gifts that make our community stronger. Think of your gift. Think of how you feel when you are doing what you do best. That feeling of being part of God's plan. That moment when you have a purpose, when you touch the divine. Use those gifts to support your sisters, brothers, and siblings of spirit. We are all connected. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. Amen.
We're going to sing together wherever you may go. Wherever you may go, I will follow, and your people shall be my people too. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for I will be faithful, loyal, and true. Say the word and I will go. I will never go away. We will travel side by side, and God's love will be our guide. Wherever you may go, I will follow. But your people shall be my people too. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for I will be faithful, loyal, and true. From beginning to the end, I will always be your friend. When you need me, I'll be there. You can trust my faithful care. Wherever you may go, I will follow. For your people shall be my people too. Wherever you may go, I will follow. For I would be faithful, joyful, and true. You can be seated.
Thank you, Tony. We have a few announcements just to kind of round out our service today. First is that next week, Reverend Charles Bull will be joining us, and his talk is titled Keeping Faith in the Time of Climate Change. Obviously, a very important topic. Will be offering us, and we hope to see you all there. In a few weeks, we will be having our official Back to Church service on September 17th. They'll also have Sunday school registration. A reminder to call ahead if you need to come to the church during the week. We still have the fencing up. There's still some danger out there. It looks like Jen is in Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. And I have Pat, who would like to come up and share something with us.
Good morning, BUC. So it is Reverend Matt and Lorna's 19th wedding anniversary.
Go ahead. Yeah, you have to come. Introvert, you have to come. Yeah, you don't get a free pass on this one.
So I would love if you are able to stand. We're going to sing to the tune of Happy Birthday, Happy Anniversary, Matt and Lorna, and then at the end we'll say Happy 19th Anniversary. So if you are able. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, dear Matt and Lorna. Happy anniversary to you. Happy 19th anniversary. Woo!
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Tim has some final words for us today. Tim, our chair of council.
What are you laughing at? I haven't even gotten started.
I can't believe they didn't give you a round of applause. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's more sympathy. They're not sure.
Man, I don't know.
This council thing's really getting to me. I seriously, last night, I had a dream. Swear to God. And in the dream, this service took 2.5 hours. And I said to Matt, like, I kind of got next to him. I said, Matt, we're kind of losing people, eh? It's going a bit long. He said, no, Tim, it's fine. I said, man, like, if you want to keep going, like, why don't you re-up? He said, no, this is good. And it was just one of those dreams where you keep spiraling and spiraling. I thought, son of a gun. Anyhow, boy, you really got me wrong on that one. So, Matt, it's hard to believe that it's 5 years, almost to the day. We will have a proper celebration for Matt on October 1st. So there'll be lots of opportunity to celebrate and rib and tar and feather all of your fabulous contributions over the last 5 years. I'm pleased to announce, I'll be back on that in a minute, I'm pleased to announce that the title is Supply Lead Minister, and that will be Katie Avon. She is going to start that position on September 5 after Labor Day. Thankfully, she's on vacation now. She's resting up for the new role. So recharge, Katie. If you're watching online, recharge, because we'll need you fully charged. The process has started for the next full-time lead minister. That will be a slow process, and I appreciate your patience. I don't really have an update on timing, but I certainly will provide one when I have one. We also have a process underway to fill the position of Supply Minister of Congregational Care, and I don't have an update on that either, except it's underway. So we'll hopefully get that going. I want to acknowledge Jill. Thank you, Jill. Jill is she's the head of M&P, and so for the people that don't know M&P, that she's basically the head of HR for the church. And Jill is just incredibly dedicated and thorough. She's pulled out more policies in the last 4 weeks than I even know existed. So credit, Jill, thank you. You do an absolutely tremendous job, so thank you. So about 5 years ago, Matt started. At the time Matt started, there was a song that I was listening to. Try not to get emotional, Matt, but this was a song called Craig, and it's about this minister. And the minister, in the song, the chorus is, no, he can't walk on water, or turn the Napa Valley red. But he just might be tight with a man that did. Now, he's not the light of the world, but I wish mine was bright as his. Yeah, he must be tight with the man that is. And I thought when I heard that song, and I was part of the team that was interviewing Matt, it felt like this really was a song called Matt, not Craig. Because the light that Matt has shown over the last 5 years, and that we saw as a team the first time we interviewed Matt, was truly exceptional. And we are so sorry to see you go, but we know your light will shine brightly in your new role. And to Lorna and Izzy, thank you for sharing his light. Thank you for sharing him. You made it, I guess, another 5 years, so it was painful, but you made it. And I guess to borrow, I'll finish off by borrowing from T.S. Eliot, not farewell, but fare forward, voyagers. We'll see you soon. This is not goodbye. Namaste.
See, now you got your applause. 2.5 hours. I was done by 10:40. Like, whatever, man. I have some good news for everybody. Would you like a little good news? Yeah. Okay, so this is good news. So Jennifer Johnson, our administrator extraordinaire, and myself, we've been working with a little group we've kept you sort of involved with along the way since the pandemic called Learn and Go. Yes, I want to get that right. Learn and Go. So Learn and Go does some really cool work with people, especially kids in the school system, their learning needs don't quite fit because of their behavioral needs and so on with the regular public system. And so, especially if families are living with members of their family who have autism and are trying to get educated, they have different needs. And parents know that they need these special services, but there's a fundamental lack of them in Nova Scotia. So Learn and Go bridges that gap. You can visit their website, learnandgo.org. They are fascinating. So when they started, total charity, just start now, community board, all that stuff. They were up at the DeWolf Community Center, and then the pandemic struck, and they got booted out of there because that got closed, and they had nowhere to go. And so, those parents, they had nowhere to send their kids. And that's really challenging for them, and no downtime for the family or for the students. So Learn and Go called us and went, could we go there? Like, are you guys closed or what? And we said, well, we have to ask Dr. Rob Strang about that. We'll get right back to you. And those of you who know Dr. Strang, you know that that's near and dear to his heart, and he made a special dispensation for us to be able to have them here at BUC, and they've been with us ever since. Lots of you don't even know they've been here, but if you ask Anne, whose exercise class knows, I think, the kids really well, they're fabulous, as does Brian Skelly, who works with the staff quite a bit when they're here during the week. So they couldn't pay rent, right? They couldn't pay rent. So along these 3 years, I've had people say to me, they can't pay any rent. We need to get somebody to pay rent. Like, can you see what the books are like? Like, we gotta get somebody to pay rent in here. Like, they need to go somewhere else. And then a whack of people in the church were going like, hey, man, these are our values. Like, they're providing a fundamental community service. We gotta honor this. It's not costing us anything. So Jen and I, we really wanted to keep to the road with them. So one of the great things that happened is they got government support officially in the last little while. And what that translates into Bedford United is we hope to receive an annual rental income between $25,000 and $30,000 a year. A year. There's my gift to you, friends. Don't hate me too much. But the thing about it, I just want to say to everybody, take an interest in Learn and Go. They are your neighbors. They are people that I'm sure they can use help. We hope to have Emily and a few other people down to talk to the church about what they're doing. Like, I hope council will take an active interest in their board and get to know each other, because this is the future of what a church can do, is incubating this kind of community, which our neighborhoods need desperately, our families and citizens need desperately. It's up to communities like ours to bridge gaps that just government's never going to get there. On that one, I do want to mention that the street, for those of you who are asking about what's going on out there, I got city council to admit it's their problem. And now what we need to do is to push city council to say, you just need to fix it before winter. Do not leave that over the winter, because the longer we have that outside, funerals, weddings, just people coming to church, anything we do as a community, that's a real struggle. So, I would encourage you. How about that? Tim Outhit's going to kill me. I would encourage you to write Tim and say, this is a community building. We'd really like to get that street fixed. Like, can you move us up on the tickets to get that done? Not Tim Rohrbeck. Do not email Tim Rohrbeck. Do not do that. Tim has many powers. That's not one of them. You just need to figure that out. Okay, last one is this, which is that I just want to remind everybody, there's not a lineup of Jennifer Johnsons applying to be your administrator. There is not 12 people like Tony Janes going, I can't wait to play music at Bedford United. There is not 30 Paige Frasers out there who in like a single week being back from mat leave led a 23-member children's camp like that. These are all the staff team members of BUC: Lauren, Brian Skelly, Jen, Tony, Katie. There is not a ream of Katie Avens out there doing congregational care, let me tell you. They're going to need your support because they are all unicorns, okay? They really are precious. And yes, BUC is a privileged place to work. We're really privileged to work here. I got to tell you, friends, I've worked in the church a long time. My family has been in the church since I was in the womb and before. You're really blessed by the people you have working here, more than many of you realize. So take care of those people, friends. Take care of them. All right, I'm done. It's still not 2.5 hours. It's not 2.5 hours.
Thank you, Matt. So I've got a mic today, so I also get the opportunity to say thank you, Matt, for your leadership, for your wisdom, and most importantly, for your friendship. We loved having you here, and we're so excited for what you're doing next. And I hope the same for all of you here today, that you have the chance this week to tell someone how much you appreciate them. We're all connected, and we're all blessed because of it. Amen.
Let's sing the chorus of Wherever You May Go again as you go. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for your people shall be my people too. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for I would be faithful, loyal, and true. One more time. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for your people shall be my people too. Wherever you may go, I will follow, for I would be faithful, loyal, and true. Have a great week, everyone.